School is prison. Children and teens in elementary, middle, and high schools are coerced, dominated, manipulated, confined, punished, and oppressed. The students are treated like temporary prisoners. Schools are surrounded by fences, even barbed wire fences, and the children cannot escape. Ironically, another argument for fences might be to protect the children from the harm that will come in from the outer world, but the fence around the school is symbolic of a prison, and is symbolic of keeping out not dangerous influences, but symbolic of keeping life itself out in the infinite possibilities of fulfillment. The system has its roots in a theoretical model called the panopticon. Pan means all, and optic means of sight. A panopticon is a prison where everything the inmates do is observed. We now in the United States have almost 2.2 million people incarcerated in correctional facilities. Half or fewer of these people are convicted of violent crimes. The United States has the highest prison population in the world. Our society is focused on incarcerating people, and therefore we are focused on punishing people. Along with the concept of the panopticon, this idea of being observed by an authority, is another theory. It comes from French philosopher Michel Foucault. The central theme of his book, and I hope I'm not ruining his philosophy, is that Western society controls people's behavior by inflicting violence, subtle or overt, on their physical bodies. If you break a law, a police officer can detain you in a cage. That's how they're controlling your body. If you break a serious law and are found guilty, the state is allowed to inflict punishment upon you by forcing you to spend years of your life in a large building filled with cages. That's what we call a prison. The way we control people in society is by the threat of an inflicting pain or confinement of the person's physical body. In other words, follow the rules of our culture or you will be locked in a cage. You may be able to sense that this is a feudalistic form of social control. Mr. Foucault also points out to the all-pervasive microstructures of power that keep authority firmly in place. In the prison, the guard watches the prisoner, so the guards are the messengers and executioners of the state's power and authority. We also live in a culture where we have messengers to enforce the main mode of thinking. Without the enforcers, the authority has no power. Some examples of the enforcers of the collective belief system are doctors, lawyers, judges, police officers, politicians, television, newspaper, and teachers. Whoever we identify as an authority has the power to tell us how life is. If there are enough enforcers of certain belief patterns, then most people come to believe what these enforcers say. The laws and beliefs of our society have no meaning unless they weren't enforced. The people who are the modern authorities don't have real power, but they just have power that we have given to them. We have mistakenly believed that those authorities are the purveyors of truth. At best, human authority can be a distortion of divine authority. Divine authority is based on your personal connection with the source of life, and its roots are truth and love. That authority is in this world through each of us. Our personal authority includes liberty, which is freedom of choice and freedom of action, freedom from servitude, freedom from confinement, and freedom from oppression. The ideal authority figure in society would not use his position to enforce personal or cultural beliefs, but rather would be a vehicle or a gateway for the divine authority to shine through. The result of our society of outer discipline and outer belief system being ingrained into children in schools is a monoculture. Everyone has to conform. If anyone deviates himself even slightly, he finds himself as being a social outcast. Conformism is the goal that many people try to live up to fit seamlessly into society's expectations. The children of these typical parents are supposed to earn good grades and go to prestigious colleges, and then they can become a doctor, lawyer, or business person so they can carry on the very same cycle of life and wear a suit and have more kids and a dog and then live in a nice house in a suburban area. This is conformity. This is not people acting from their inner belief systems. This is people just acting as how they were programmed to react. We're not supposed to all do these things. In fact, that lifestyle is highly destructive to the nature. It's highly destructive to the planet. This is the power of the hidden microstructures of authority to define what is right and what is wrong, what is normal and what is abnormal. Since our lives are both highly stressful and unsustainable, maybe something is wrong with this idea of how we're supposed to live. Maybe the way we're living is a form of confinement. Maybe we're not living out of our true selves. School is based upon the principle of the panopticon. Just like in a prison, the teacher is in the position where she can observe all the students in the class. The teacher is at the center. The teacher is the central figure of authority, giving that information that the state wants the children to have. The idea is that the central authority is not in the student, it's not in the child, it's in the teacher. You must obey that authority. The teacher doesn't fill the student with divine truth and knowledge, which would help the student find his own inner authority and his own true spark. The students are forced to be present and are confined to their desks. When the child is sitting there all day long doing nothing, that's the lesson that they learn. Life is about constraining yourself, sitting, avoiding, controlling, thwarting, being told what to do. The school is telling people how to think rather than letting them think for themselves. That's the real lesson of public schooling. The majority of our children over time learn to become obedient to the authority. If a child misbehaves, then they face the consequences of discipline. The discipline is longer confinement during recess or after school, which is called by an appropriate name: detention. Students are taught to believe the textbooks, to place authority in what they read. These books supposedly convey the ultimate truth. I remember as myself as a teenager believing wholeheartedly what was written in the textbooks I read in school. With a captive and gullible audience, the book's message is designed to show people how life is. Not in reality how life is, but how the society wants our children to believe about life. This manipulation and censorship serves a devious purpose and keeps the next generation, your children, oppressed.